TMC tidbit. Kim Basinger is en route to Paris, the city of love, for another rendezvous with Mickey Rourke. The two coupled up in 1985's 9.5 Weeks, and now they're picking up the pieces in 4 days in February, set to shoot this January.
Joe Bob Briggs again. I want you to stop whatever it is you're doing. It's not important. We've got some drive-in news here. Joan Collins is going back to the drive-in. You know, a lot of us have been disappointed in Joan in recent years. We love her, don't get me wrong, but she went and did indoor itsy-bitsy screen soap opera crapola. She married the Swede guy who was a little light in the loafers, and we wondered if she would ever come home to cheap little exploitation movies where she belongs. Remember those great movies like The Bitch and The Stud? And yes, she's going to do it, starting with a flick this fall called Getting Away with Murder. The title kind of stinks, sounds like Agatha Christie, but it's produced by Menahem Golan, the worldwide exploitation master, and it's executive produced by Joan Collins herself. Joan is finally getting that creative freedom she deserves. Okay, here's a real weird one. Night of the Living Dead, they're making it again. It's not a sequel. You know, they already made Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead and Sunday Brunch of the Dead, but one of the greatest drive-in movies ever made, the original Zombie-Rama, Night of the Living Dead by George Romero, the greatest movie ever made in Pittsburgh. They're going to do it again and use the exact same screenplay, but this time George is just producing it. It's going to be directed by Tom Savini. Tom is semi-famous for his gory special effects. You know, you need an actor's eyes to pop out of his face and 9 gallons of blood to explode on the camera lens. You call Tom, he does that for you. So I don't know what they're thinking on this deal. I'll guarantee you one thing, though. Horror film fans are not going to like this. All right, finally, this one's hard to believe, too. You remember West Side Story? Everybody remembers West Side Story, where they say, you touch my sister and I'm going to kill you, but first, let's dance. You know, well, this is the same movie, East Side Story. Only, it's the same thing, only in the east side of New York. It's starring Mark Anthony Muniz, Corina, and Joe Pratt. Dancing, singing, love story, and I will kill you stuff, you know. And gosh darn, it's the kind of thing you go, good grief, you know, if I just thought of that, West Side Story, East Side Story, you know, just remake the thing only over on the east side, I could have had that idea first. I could have made all that money. Well, see, that's why you're you and more intelligent people make the movies. So Joe Bob Briggs reminding you that the drive-in will never die.
Hi, I'm David Edelstein. Most of the time I work as the movie critic of the New York Post, but now I'm going to be your host for something a little different. A look at all aspects of movies, from what's opening this month to what's happening behind the scenes. And we'll also be hearing from some of the movie channel's unique correspondents, bred in our very own laboratory. Certainly the movie everyone's talking about is Sex, Lies, and Videotape, which won the grand prize at the Cannes Film Festival and has since broken box office records in big cities. Amazingly enough, it's the first feature by 26-year-old Steven Soderberg, and it may be the most erotic hour and a half you can spend without taking off your clothes. Actually, almost no one in the movie takes off any clothes. So in this month's Star Rising segment, we decided to ask Soderberg just what the heck's so hot.
The heat comes from the intellectual foreplay between people as opposed to the physical foreplay. Seemed to me a weird concept.
So are you going to tell me something personal?
Do you want me to?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't want it to be something gross about some scar or something. I want it to be something really personal about yourself. You know,
all right, I think I'm impotent.
You what?
Well, it was a strange feeling, and you know, when I hit the stage, I'd completely checked out mentally, and you know, Jane Fonda hands you the award, and you're standing there in front of hundreds of photographers, and they're making that noise, kind of like in The Right Stuff, you know, that kind of clicking, predatory noise. I've been trying to make a feature film and make it in the film business since 1980 when I was 17, so for me this has been what is now, you know, what was, when we started shooting, an 8-year process. But I had my film training in high school, where most people would have had it in college. So I had a 4-year head start. I wanted to make a film that was erotic, but eroticism to me is not about bodies. It is about a feeling that you have about a person. It deals with what we hide from other people, and when we reveal what we hide, when do we reveal it? How long does it stay revealed? Does it go back into hiding? And why do we sometimes feel more comfortable telling the truth to an absolute stranger than to somebody who perhaps we sleep with at night?
Everyone in Hollywood wants to work with Soderberg now, but he just rented a house in Virginia to get away from all the power lunches and pool parties. Kind of a loner. His name, by the way, is Swedish. The movie's very clean. It's a real achievement to make Baton Rouge look like Stockholm. You know, the hero of Sex, Lies, and Videotape has been compared to Shane, except with a video camera tucked in his holster instead of a six-shooter. People say the genuine Westerns don't get made anymore, but the diehards keep those campfires burning. This month, the Movie Channel's Harvey Shine visits the Golden Boot Awards, where the range is always homely.
Hi, I'm Harvey Shine. You know, some call them oters, some call them horse operas, but other more normal, well-adjusted people like you and I call them Westerns. And here at the Golden Boot Awards for Western Film Achievement, America's love affair with the cowboy is as strong as ever. Let's mosey on in. You know, more than a ceremony honoring Western actors, it looks more like a reunion of Marlboro men. But we're just going to walk through here and see who we can talk to. How you doing tonight?
Real fine.
Good. Now, are you a veteran of countless Westerns, or are you just dressed up here?
No. My name is Littlebird. I'm the world's only live cigar store Indian.
Is that right?
That's my act, right. In fact, I hold the world's record for standing, motionless, non-blinking, 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Really?
I set that in London, October 1st, 1987.
Now, can you do it for like 10 seconds for us now? Go. You know, one of our goals in being here tonight is to underscore the obvious snub by the awards committee to veteran Western actor Larry Storch. Now, you were in a film...
Been in a couple of good ones.
You were in an early film called Three Violent People, which featured you and Forrest Tucker.
Baxter. No, Forrest wasn't in Three Violent People.
Yes, he was.
Sure and he was. Of course he was. What am I talking about? Yes.
Now,
and Ann Baxter and Tom Tryon.
And wasn't Larry Storch in that too?
Yes, he was. Yes, that was before he became Larry Storch.
That's right. Now, what were the three of you so violent about in that movie?
I've forgotten. I think it was a woman.
Really? It usually is, isn't it?
It usually is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you worked for 6 years with a wonderful actress on Green Acres. Do you have any idea back at that time of the criminal tendencies of Zsa Zsa Gabor?
I never worked with Zsa Zsa Gabor in my life.
No, that was Zsa Zsa on Green Acres.
That was not Zsa Zsa on Green Acres. Get your fact right and then come back on TV.
No, believe me, that was Zsa Zsa. A lot of people get them confused, but everybody's entitled to one faux pas, so I hold nothing against Pat. How you doing, Johnny? My name is Harvey Shine. How are you?
How you doing? Fine, Harvey.
Now you have to say, hi, I'm Johnny Cash.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Thanks a lot. Why is it that you reportedly dubbed the voice of actress Sarita Montiel in Run of the Arrow?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Did she just not have a command of the language, or did she have one of those shrill, grating voices like Sally Struthers?
Well, we should all have voices like Sally Struthers, right?
I suppose you're right.
Yeah.
You know, it's been over 20 years since F Troop went off the air, and yet this loyal group of self-proclaimed Storchies spend their days proselytizing and pamphleteering in the hopes that someday Larry Storch will regain his place amongst the cowboy greats. Let me ask you a question. You're known for your ageless legs. Is it actually true that they superimpose your legs over Mary Hart's on Entertainment Tonight?
Oh, I'm sure she'd love that.
See, I heard she had really short, stocky, fat ones.
No, don't tell me that. She's so beautiful.
Well, another Golden Boot Awards has come and gone, and once again, Larry Storch has been forgotten. But, you know, I truly believe that Larry's Western spirit will live on in the hearts of his fans, whom he inspired to ride the unspoiled range of imagination. This is Harvey Shine, hanging up his hat. Good night.
Thanks, Pard. This month at the movies, there's a dynamite new thriller. It's called Sea of Love, and it stars Al Pacino, Ellen Barkin, and John Goodman. The script is by New York novelist Richard Price, and the film is about men who advertise in the personals column and wind up losing more than their hearts.
Don't you move! Staring down a gun barrel yesterday. You know what I'm thinking? You drop it! Drop it! Drop it! Nobody loves me. I got no wife, no kids, nothing.
Your guy put an ad in the singles magazine, right? Bingo to that. My guy's in there, too.
There's some psycho woman out there killing guys.
Wanna know how we catch her? We put our own ad in. We set up dates with 30, 40, 50 of the ladies who answer.
I get this very weird feeling you're not who you say you are.
Oh, we take them out, some restaurant, some bar.
What do you think, maybe we should have dinner sometime?
Oh, sure, we'll call you. Get their prints on a wine glass. Bingo, she's dropped.
I don't believe in wasting time on this kind of stuff. You know what you know and you go with it.
You go with what?
I believe in animal attraction. I believe in love at first sight. I believe in this. You're a good man.
I never know.
I always know.
That's not a clip, obviously. That's the trailer for the movie, but I think it captures the fever. Pacino plays a cop who's really lonely and obsessed with his ex-wife, and somehow these murders seem an extension of that. You don't know who the killer is, but you know in your gut that the motive has something to do with being unloved in a place like New York City. This movie really gets under your skin, and so do Pacino and Barkin. Another film, A Dry White Season, brings back an actor of Leviathan stature, Marlon Brando, after a 9-year break. The movie is the tragic story of a white South African schoolteacher, played by Donald Sutherland, who goes up against the terrible system of apartheid. Brando plays a lawyer Sutherland engages in the fight, and he's only on screen for about 15 minutes. Here's a glimpse.
His jaw broken, his nose broken, his cheekbone crushed.
He must have hit the bars when he tried to jump out of his window.
You see, what you don't realize that every time I won a case, they simply changed the law. My counsel to you is to just give it up.
Well, Brando has taken his own counsel. Although he's the best there is, he's never really had much respect for his own craft. And after his brief return, he's already told the press he's fed up with acting and that The Freshman, which he just finished, would be his last film. Always sad to see a heavyweight retire. But always nice when a movie channel correspondent can get a free trip to France. Here's Robert Osborne at the Doville Film Festival.
When you hear the words film festival, what's the first thing that pops in your mind? Well, probably the festival at Cannes. Gaudy parties, premieres on the Riviera, starlets going topless to get their pictures in the paper, premieres on the Riviera. Cannes is, of course, the granddaddy of all the film festivals, but it's not the only game in town, not by a long shot. In September, some 31 film festivals take place around the world, 35 in October, and so it goes. And one of the best and most unusual takes place every year here in Doville on the Normandy coast of France. It's a film festival as different from the hubbub of Cannes as you can find. At Doville, no prizes are given. No one is trying to buy or sell films. This is a festival devoted exclusively to the appreciation of films, and only American films. The French, they love American movies, and they love American movie makers.
What I like about this festival is that there is no competition. To me, a film festival should be a celebration of film and not about people competing with each other.
Most of the action in Doville takes place at the casino behind me, a place well known to historians as a gambling resort for kings. Indeed, it was here that King Farouk once gambled away his entire fortune, where Prince Ali Khan and Rita Hayworth conducted much of their celebrated romance. The casino holds 2 of the 5 theaters in Doville that run from morning till night during the festival, where crowds line up to see new American films that have not yet opened in France. Unlike most every other film festival around, Doville is civilized, a rare chance for filmmakers and film followers to meet, to sit in bars or bistros and talk film. It's become one of the best-liked film festivals in the world. One visit to Doville, you can understand why. From Doville, France, I'm Robert Osborne for the Movie Channel.
On this continent, there are 2 major film festivals this month, in Toronto and the Big Apple. You can find me and my colleagues haunting the New York Film Festival, which closes with Breaking In, a comedy directed by Bill Forsyth. Forsyth is a Scot. He made Local Hero, which is one of the most magical comedies of the last decade. This one's an American production, and it stars Burt Reynolds as an aging safecracker who takes on a young disciple.
Hey, you with some kind of organization?
The Northwest Homeowners Association.
No. I mean like the mafia or
What is this, Meet the Press?
So what are you doing with that thing over there?
Keeps the plaster dust down. Bad sinuses.
Well, so how do you get one of them things open?
Very delicate operation.
Jesus! Jesus!
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm getting tired of all these pointy-headed film festivals. Let's find out what's going on in the real world from the Movie Channel's legendary drive-in correspondent.
Joe Bob Briggs again. I want you to stop whatever it is you're doing. It's not important. We've got some drive-in news here. Joan Collins is going back to the drive-in. You know, a lot of us have been disappointed in Joan in recent years. We love her, don't get me wrong, but she went and did indoor itsy-bitsy screen soap opera crapola. She married the Swede guy who was a little light in the loafers, and we wondered if she would ever come home to cheap little exploitation movies where she belongs. Remember those great movies like The Bitch and The Stud? And yes, she's going to do it, starting with a flick this fall called Getting Away with Murder. The title kind of stinks, sounds like Agatha Christie, but it's produced by Menahem Golan, the worldwide exploitation master, and it's executive produced by Joan Collins herself. Joan is finally getting that creative freedom she deserves. Okay, here's a real weird one. Night of the Living Dead, they're making it again. It's not a sequel. You know, they already made Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead and Sunday Brunch of the Dead, but one of the greatest drive-in movies ever made, the original Zombie-Rama, Night of the Living Dead by George Romero, the greatest movie ever made in Pittsburgh. They're going to do it again and use the exact same screenplay, but this time George is just producing it. It's going to be directed by Tom Savini. Tom is semi-famous for his gory special effects. You know, you need an actor's eyes to pop out of his face and 9 gallons of blood to explode on the camera lens. You call Tom, he does that for you. So I don't know what they're thinking on this deal. I'll guarantee you one thing, though. Horror film fans are not going to like this. All right, finally, this one's hard to believe, too. You remember West Side Story? Everybody remembers West Side Story, where they say, you touch my sister and I'm going to kill you. But first, let's dance. You know, well, this is the same movie, East Side Story. Only, it's the same thing, only in the east side of New York. It's starring Mark Anthony Muniz, Corina, and Joe Pratt. Dancing, singing, love story, and I will kill you stuff, you know. And gosh darn, it's the kind of thing you go, good grief, you know, if I just thought of that, West Side Story, East Side Story, you know, just remake the thing only over on the east side, I could have had that idea first. I could have made all that money. Well, see, that's why you're you and more intelligent people make the movies. So Joe Bob Briggs reminding you that the drive-in will never die.
Thank you, Joe Bob. Living proof these kind of movies don't rot your brain. Well, one veteran of the drive-in scene is Brian De Palma, who moved beyond great trash like Carrie and the Fury and has now made one of the year's best and most disturbing films.
What's great about this movie, I feel, is that it's a very dramatic, emotional story between 4 men and 1 girl. And it brings the whole tragedy of the war down to one intense, emotional conflict.
You think you're standing up to me? Ah! I ain't doing it. No way. Oh, what's the matter? Don't you like girls?
To some, Casualties of War is a moral triumph. Others call it Sado porn, a bigger, bloodier De Palma film where the girl still gets slashed in the end. However, this time, the woman is viewed with a sympathy that makes her the center of the movie's moral conflict.
I feel it's something we should be very familiar with so that we don't make this kind of mistake again. Everybody in this movie is sort of a casualty of the war. We should forgive ourselves about Vietnam. A lot of people died, a lot of people paid terrible prices, but hopefully we will learn from these mistakes of the past.
In terms of graphic violence and shocking power, Casualties seems to draw from De Palma's former days directing suspense movies like Carrie, Dressed to Kill, and Body Double.
In suspense pictures, you have to tell stories purely with pictures. You don't rely on dialogue, character, as much as you rely on sort of building sequences that are emotionally suspenseful to the audience.
Not straying far from this formula, De Palma moved into the genre that brought him back into the public eye.
I started to make kind of successful gangster pictures, like Scarface and The Untouchables. And those have been my most successful pictures, so I guess to the wider audience, I'm known more by those pictures than my earlier suspense pictures.
It was his popular comeback with The Untouchables that gave De Palma the opportunity to make an expensive and artistically challenging movie like Casualties, a movie in which he continues to examine the theme of good against evil.
I thought you were kidding last night, Sarge. Well, I was serious as a heart attack, you know that. Yeah, I know, that's what I mean. This is kidnapping, ain't it, Sarge?
What I want to know is how anyone could call Casualties of War Sado porn. The rape in this movie is an atrocity. It's not a turn-on. This is one of the most moral films about war ever made. It's not easy to watch, and that might be why people haven't gone. It's too intense. Who needs it? Who needs the guilt? Well, you see this film and you understand why war atrocities happen, what could drive men to commit them. It may not be box office, but neither were a lot of other films we now consider classics. Casualties of War is almost a Vietnam Lord of the Flies. It's about children who revert to savages in the jungle. It's probably a coincidence, but Lord of the Flies has just been remade by Rob Reiner's company, Castle Rock Productions. Look for it in theaters next year. Remember the catchphrase from that movie? Kill the pig, make him die? I sure do, and it brings it all back. And here's the Movie Channel's Ian Scholes to tell you about some of your other favorite movie catchphrases.
I'm Ian Scholes, social critic. Not available in any store. Here to talk about the movies and what they mean to me. Catchphrases. Where would the movies be without them? Go ahead, make my day. It was beauty killed the beast. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Car? I don't even have a bicycle. All right, I made that last one up. But if a movie doesn't have at least one cool, memorable line, a catchphrase, the movie doesn't have a prayer. You know, when I was a boy, I had a Scottish aunt, and she used to say to me, "Young Ian, it takes a wheen o' mickle to make a muckle." I have no idea what that means, but it does show why Scotland never became a world power, and it's also a good example of the kind of line that will never make it as a catchphrase. You might not realize it, but all of these classic immortal lines went through many clumsy revisions before achieving their final status on the silver screen. Let me give you some examples. Clint Eastwood's line, "Go ahead, make my day," started out as, "Boy, I sure hope my gun is loaded." Doesn't quite cut it, does it? The line at the end of King Kong, "It was beauty killed the beast," originally read, "Now that's a dead monkey." It's blunt, it's effective, but it doesn't approach the bad poetry of the final version. Bond, James Bond. Originally, Gorge, Petter Gorge. You can see why they changed that one. "I am your father." Darth Vader's famous revelation from The Empire Strikes Back was originally, "Come to Papa, Lukey." Play it again, Sam. The famous classic line from Casablanca, which was never actually said in Casablanca, but has become a famous line anyway, originally read, "Cripes, Sam. Is that the only song you know? Play Stardust, or you're fired." And finally, the granddaddy of all catchphrases, the Elvis of catchphrases, from Gone with the Wind, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." Originally, this line read, "Frankly, my dear, it takes a wheen o' mickle to make a muckle." What can I say? The screenwriter had a Scottish aunt. So I hope this teaches you budding screenwriters out there the value of constant revision. Now take my own personal catchphrase, "I gotta go," which is protected by international copyright and may not be used without permission. Originally, my catchphrase was, "Go ahead, read my lips." Doesn't have the same elegance, does it? No. I gotta go.
If you see enough movies, you probably wonder how great minds in Hollywood work. Well, that's a waste of time, because nowadays, most of them are busy wondering how your great mind works.
All right, suck in the guts, guys. We're the Ghostbusters.
Months before Ghostbusters 2 hit the theaters, special preview audiences were shown an early version of the film and hated it. They found the ending confusing, so the producers recalled the cast and reshot the closing scenes. If this sounds unusual, it isn't. It's all part of the growing field of movie research.
Very few people realize when they're watching a movie that a very calculated process has been taken to get to what they're seeing.
Research firms are hired by movie studios to test everything from movie concepts to movie titles. And although the influence of market research is growing, the idea has been around for a long time.
Oh, if I'd only understood. Oh, Johnny. But it'll be different now. We'll make it different.
They did make it different. The public refused to accept Cary Grant as a villain in Suspicion, so Alfred Hitchcock had to reshoot the ending and make him a good guy after all. Years later, the same thing happened with Fatal Attraction. Originally, Glenn Close's character commits suicide while managing to frame Michael Douglas's character for murder. The preview audiences didn't buy it, however, so... At times, producers seek audience reactions very early in the editing process, and much more than just an ending can get changed.
There are times when you work with a movie that's 4 hours, and you are editing down to 2 hours through testing. By the time you've done that, you have a very different movie.
I think I've been hypnotized.
You can ask me to leave.
I don't want you to leave.
Movies like 9.5 Weeks was a pretty typical movie where it started at 4 hours and got edited down a lot. Whole scenes, whole sequences got taken out. It became a very different movie, for better or worse.
The general public, through its reactions to early screenings, has changed the content of hundreds of movies. So the next time you see a film you don't like and wish you could do something about it, it's possible that you, or someone you know, already has.
Bye-bye. Well, that's it for our show. We actually had an innovative, groundbreaking ending, but the research came back and we can't do it. So let's keep it simple. Goodbye from the movie show. I'm David Edelstein.
I don't give up. I'm a little bit of a pit bull with myself. You know, something's bothering me about the work and where I feel I want to be in the business. I just, you know, latch on to something. I don't let go till it gets better. And I've always had that survivor feeling. You know, when Memories of Me didn't do well,